All right, everybody. Hey, welcome to This Pink Cloud, Season 2, Episode 21. Amazing, huh? We're dead air, silence. We've got a lot of people. I'm impressed that I actually got 4, including myself, 4 addicts to show up simultaneously at an early call time.
Yes.
On time-ish.
Yeah, on time-ish. Hey, well, let's get this the announcements and all the good stuff out of the way first. Obviously, we have some shirts available. Weston, if you can pull those shirts up for me, please. These are available on my DJ website, which is djkellyreverb.com, and just hit the shop button, and the shirts should be right there. There you go.
Are.
Beautiful. There's the rainbow one. And if you're on a podcast, obviously you can check us out at YouTube. Be sure, if you are on YouTube, be sure and subscribe to the channel. I always like to plug that. And if you're listening, you can just go to the URL, thispinkcloud.com, and that will take you here to us on YouTube.
I want like 5 of those shirts.
Yeah, you want
the
5 of them?
best.
Okay, cool. And then I think we have some other ones there, Weston. As I always like to do, Weston's like trying to get the audio right, and I'm like making him show shirts.
Dude, I love that. Look at
Yeah,
that.
right. That is the chair one.
I love that.
Love it, love it. And then there's the one that I have on. Well, that's the back.
Oh.
Okay. And then, oh yeah, there we go. The classic. That's for the person that didn't go to rehab, like your mom or dad, and then they can wear it, you know.
Nice.
Or if they're not proud of the fact that they went to rehab, which is sometimes the case. But while I have that up, that is our sponsor for the show. So that is summersky.us. If you need help, good people. It worked for me. And it can work for you. It's so funny, like how many people I run into. Oh, you went to Summer Sky? I went to Summer Sky. Are you sober? Yeah, I'm sober. So it's kind of cool how that works. But it's summersky.us. Phone number is 888-857-8857. So once again, that is 888-857-8857. All right. So now to the room full of recovery.
Moment of truth.
Yeah,
What a
exactly. Sitting in for the professor today, which the professor is doing okay. He is out of detox if you're following the show. We're going to actually have him on to catch up with him next week, but he is alive and well so far. So,
Beautiful.
optimistic. But sitting in for him today is the lovely and talented
Wow.
most intelligent person probably in the room, for sure. For sure in the room,
And
for
beautiful.
sure.
She's
Don't
gorgeous.
go there.
For sure in the room. Oh yeah, well we'll get to it. I'll bust on her about going to Harvard and getting her master's while under the influence. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No
I'm an active addiction, and I went ahead and got my master's degree.
We're going to
while
start
I
with
was
that
there.
already.
We're
We're
gonna
going
do
to
that. I wanna hear all
come
of that.
right out of the gate with it.
The nitty gritty stuff.
Right, but so this is Marlo from the Phoenix, and Marlo, it's been a while. It's been too long.
I know. Happy to be back. Happy to be back.
We had to break up the sausage party today, so you know.
I had to bring the female presence today.
Exactly. So what's been going on with you, Marlo?
Just been Phoenixing it up.
Yeah.
Phoenix.
And just for anybody that doesn't know what the Phoenix is.
Yeah, we're a sober active community,
Uh-huh.
so we host events all throughout the Metroplex: hiking, biking, CrossFit, art nights, yoga.
I
You
want to
think
do
of
the
it-
art night.
Come on out.
I need to.
Are we
Where
doing
is it?
bubbleheads?
Next Friday, we will be outside in the park in.
Do I have to
Plano?
bring my own art supplies?
Absolutely not.
Nice.
We will supply all the art supplies for you.
And y'all actually do supply like kayaks and bikes and all that good stuff
Yep,
for
all
a
of
lot
our-
of people so you have no excuse
Everything
to not
is
come
free.
out, right?
Everything is free with 48 hours of sobriety. We provide everything. You just got to come out and have a good time.
Right? Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, so these two cats I met, I guess, well, kind of recovery dharma. I mean, but you know, they're recovery famous. You know,
Oh my God!
That's
don't
for
give
sure.
me that.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
They're recovery famous. But this is Josh Jordan over here, and then Ricky Vasquez, Aki.
Aki.
Yeah, right. So these guys, y'all are with Cardinal House Sober Living, but many other organizations. But before we get to that fun stuff, I always like to go a little 101, kind of like, you know, your story, obviously truncated because it is an hour show.
Sure.
And then just kind of, you know, touch on what's working for you and what's worked and maybe where you failed and where you came back and you know, did things correctly. Wow. You know, I know that's a lot, right?
We're going to dive right in.
So just talk. No. But I guess we'll start with you first,
Sure.
Ricky. And thanks for coming out, guys, by the way.
Thanks for having us. Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, one shout out to Marlo. Like the Phoenix also takes activities to treatment centers. So they come to Valley Hope and they also go to Discovery Point.
Not all over. We
Y'all
work
go
with a
all
lot
over.
of several.
So cool. Oh, you
several
started going to
treatment
like
centers.
Brazos
Yeah.
as well. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
shout out. Thanks for the
Yeah,
Phoenix.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
go to Valley Hope. Anyway, here we go. So my story,
Yeah, sure, dude. Just, you know,
it's
whatever.
long and dramatic, but anyway, I'll concise
Well,
it.
just give us the drama part.
The drama? Oh my
Just
God.
give us
Give
the
us
good
the
stuff.
drama. Rick.
Okay, so
Come
anyway,
on.
so my household is very dysfunctional. Anyway, no, I grew up in a very traumatic environment, full of violence. You know, there was some drugs there, all that stuff. I had my first taste of alcohol when I was 7. You know, I was effeminate, I was gay, and like all the men would gather in the backyard, and so like they would drink. And so to me, like being a man meant drinking, hanging out, having a good time.
Sure.
So I was like 7 years old. I knew I was gay, and so I go to like the backyard where my dad is playing dominoes, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm a man. And I was like, pour me a cup of beer, and he was like, no. It was like, it's gross. You won't like it.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, oh, try me. And he goes, no. He goes, if I pour you some beer, you're gonna have to drink it.
Oh, yeah,
And I said,
yeah.
oh yeah, I'm a man. I'm gonna do it. So
Yeah.
he poured me a little bit of beer,
Sure.
and then I took a sip, spit it out. It's like I told you.
Right.
Like, you're gonna have to finish that.
I told you
So I
you're a
s-
little gay bitch.
So I sat there and I started bawling, and then my mom
Right.
came and rescued me, and I went away.
Right.
So that was my very first taste of beer, and I swore I would never ever like have any alcohol in my body.
Sure.
And fast forward some years, I'm 12 or 13 years old. I am going to Mexico. So I grew up on the border in Laredo.
Okay.
So I started going to Nuevo Laredo for $20 or $15, sometimes $10. We could drink all we could drink. So it was tequila, vodka, rum, all that.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So
Well, any border town can be quite colorful.
oh, it was very colorful. And so like,
Especially on the other side.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for $10, 15 or 20, I could drink all I could drink. But my very first drunk and blackout was that first night.
Okay.
I was in Mexico. I blacked out, and every time I would go to Mexico, I would black out. I was like, well, crap.
Not a good spot to black out either,
no,
right?
No. So then I wanted to feel a buzz and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
that, and so like I tricked myself by drinking micheladas,
Mm-hmm.
and so which is like lime and Worcestershire sauce and other spices or whatever.
Sure, it was fancy.
Oh, it was great.
somewhat,
And so
yeah.
because I remembered I hated beer from when I was 7.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So I had to trick my mind. I started like drinking beer that way, and then at the end of my drinking career, 19 years later, like I loved beer.
Right. Yeah.
But I had to trick my mind into doing
Sure,
that.
of
So I drank, did all that, did the party drugs, went to A&M, did the coke, the meth there. My first. I fell in love with cocaine at A&M. And then I did a lot of moving around, searching out. My first geographic move was at 17 when I left Laredo, went to A&M because I knew that if I went to UT, I'd be at the bars every day.
Right. Yeah.
So that was my first geographic
Okay,
move.
so that was you went to A&M just because the bar scene wasn't as popping as UT?
Right, but then we were
Okay.
drinking like
Right,
everywhere. every
yeah,
night.
sure.
Anyway, I was naive.
I
So
gotcha.
fast forward a few years, I come to Dallas, did a lot of the club scene with you at
All
Lizard
right.
Lounge, high five. Lizard Lounge is the shit. Like Club 1, Club 7, Mink, all of that, dressing up. That was a lot of fun.
Right.
However, after a few years, it took a toll on me. The drugs turned on me. Like I went from like seeing shadow people to like hiding under the bed frame, carrying knives, hiding behind the bushes. Like it was just even
Sure.
across the line. You were like it was no longer like foot long lines of meth. Now it was like a little bump would like get
Right.
me instant psychosis.
Sure.
A little bump, a little rock, whatever it was. It was horrible.
Well, you were probably doing that on a regular basis
every
too.
day.
So yeah.
And they were foot long, Anyway,
Right.
whatever. So then after that, I moved to San Antonio because I think the families that keep me sober. So that didn't work.
The old change
I
of
know,
scenery.
I know.
Yeah.
So I moved to Austin. became a teacher because I thought all that was going to keep me sober, like the law and the state and all this stuff, and that didn't work. Anyway, so then I sobered up in Austin, and at the very beginning, I met this good friend of mine, and he owned Sober Living.
Okay.
So then I wanted to start my own sober living, but I was all full of fear, full of success, full of failure, like not good enough, all that stuff.
Sure.
I was like, I didn't have the money, but then I came up with the money, I lost it, made it, lost it, and I was like, a friend of mine said, hey, Ricky, he was like, God's giving you the exact same amount of money that you spend every year.
Right.
And you're not keeping your end of the bargain. You need to do sober living.
Right.
And I'm fast forwarding here. So then I was like, yeah, sure. And then like a few years later, like I'm in this depression. I got a second house. I changed careers. Like I had more sponsees. Like I was doing all this stuff to try to stay like content and happy, and I couldn't. I was grasping. So then I meditated. I was like, what do I do to feed myself? And so I moved to Mexico to travel.
Okay.
It was great.
Okay.
Traveled to Cuba, Guatemala, Peru.
Did they have drugs there?
I actually never came across
Really?
anyone who offered me any drugs.
Oh, wow.
What? However, I was in this state where supposedly, like, they had a contractual agreement because, like, the state was like the cartel. Anyway, it was the same families, families running the state or whatever. And so they can't kidnap, can't do anything within the state.
Oh,
so
okay.
anyway, supposedly, I don't know if that was true or not. So then I met some teachers from the U.S. because it was an American school down there. So we did a lot of traveling. Anyway, so there's where I surrendered to God. I said, God, I will do sober living. Send me wherever you need me. I was like, I'm going to do sober living. Okay, that's fine. So I decided, I was content. I was like, I'm going to do it. That is my mission, right? Now, I had a purpose. My purpose was to like work in recovery and help get guys sober. That was my purpose. I knew that.
Right.
But then when I surrendered to God, with the sober living, I started meditating and praying. I was like, where do you want me? And like Dallas kept coming up. And I was like, oh no, I'm not going to Dallas.
Right.
And it was like Dallas kept coming up. I was like, I'm not going to Dallas. Because I remember this is where I did all of my drugs, a lot of my whatever.
Yeah.
So being a good love addict, I was like, well, I had success with men in Dallas. So I'm going to go to Dallas.
Of course. My batting average is good. Dude.
Yeah.
Anyway. I like my odds there.
Right.
So I came to Dallas, and I knew it was a mission. The minute I started researching sober living in Dallas when I got here, there was nothing on the affordable end. There was just one nonprofit, and then it goes up to like the more expensive.
Sure.
So, and this is where Josh comes into play.
Okay.
I'm going to touch a little bit on that, if you don't mind. So then I decided to open sober living, but at this point, I don't have any money. And like, I'm crying to my sponsor. I was like, well, I had a property in Austin. I was like, I'm going to sell that.
By the way, you're a real estate agent.
Exactly. Yeah. On the side.
On the side.
And then, so I was like, I'm going to open a Mexican restaurant.
Sure. Okay.
So that way I use that money to like, open the sober living. So my sponsor then was like, Ricky, would you think God wants you to like take care of his people, or do you think he wants you to open a Mexican restaurant? I was like, well, if you put it that way, obviously, yes.
Right.
He wants me to work to save his people. So then that was a mission. Anyway, fast forward, I go to our home group, which was back then a CA group. Sixth tradition, never mind.
Right. Well, no, it's whatever. You can say CA. I mean, I don't think they're as anal as the AA, but I mean, whatever. I don't care.
Oopsies. So then I meet Josh, or I saw Josh, IG Josh from Austin, because whatever. He'll tell you that. Anyway, so I asked him what he was doing. He told me he was working on a project, and then I said, well, come meet you following week or a month later, whatever. I asked him how his project was going. He was like, hey, well, it's not going well. And I said, well, mine's taking traction. And then after the meeting, we're talking again, and we're just chit-chatting about, like, our goals, about, like, sober living. And then it just rolls out of my mouth. I was like, hey, why don't you join me? And he was like, what? And our jaws dropped, like, both of us. Like, we looked at each other.
Right.
And Josh was like, did you mean that? I was like, I don't know.
Did you have that same conversation with God?
Exactly, something like that.
Right.
I was like, I don't know. I was like, I didn't. It just came out of my mouth. I was like, I told him, I guess God wanted me to ask you.
Right.
And so we both said, okay. We both kind of freaked out, and it was like we both said, well, let's pray about it. And then touch base tomorrow. So we prayed about it, and the next morning he calls me and says, let's do it.
Okay.
And so that was the birth of the Cardinal House.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Him and another buddy from Austin at that point.
Well, cool. Well, we've got some video that you took that the roving Ricky report. We'll show that later. But let's go ahead and hear a little bit from this guy, because I hear he's got some kind of story or something.
I mean, there's a way that I could tell my story, and it sounds like a really cool, like, crime drama, you know, like movie, but the truth is it's really sad and pathetic.
Well, it's okay. But
Hey, it's your
man,
story.
It's your story.
Oh yeah, no, that was not
Yeah.
a sympathy. That's just like reality is. Like I was this scared little suburban white boy who came from a good family and ended up around some people that scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And a few treatment centers later, like that changed.
Right.
So anyways, my sobriety date's July 12th of 2014, and that's the same.
Should we do this? Hey, Josh.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Let's
Josh.
do it.
If you're gonna share it.
Oh, speaking of the sixth tradition, right? Like I was never voted in as spokesperson of any of the fellowships I'm a part of, so I'm going to do my best to just go without the title. Unfortunately, if you're a member of any of those fellowships, you're going to know because
Right.
it's just part of my story. Like you're going to hear it.
It's
how I talk,
okay.
you know?
We talk about 12-step and all that all the time.
For sure. So 12 steps, cool, but I'll keep it not specific
Yeah,
to any
yeah, yeah.
fellowship because I'm a poor representation at times. So.
Hey, whatever.
In 2014, it's my 22nd birthday, July 12th, right? And so it's not on purpose. I didn't wake up and just make a great decision to turn my life around, right? Like I went to 3 inpatient facilities and IOP before I got to my 5th treatment center. And I'm the kind of guy who's like stealing vans from treatment centers to go pick up for the rest of the guys back at the facility.
Okay,
Right?
nice.
You know, getting high in all but one of the treatment centers that I went to, that sort of thing.
Right.
And anyways, I call myself an alcoholic because of what I know the illness of alcoholism to be characteristic of.
Sure.
But the truth is, like, I shot heroin and cocaine while I drank whiskey.
Right.
So after a few years of that, starting at, I think I started drinking around 14. And at the time, I just liked to get drunk, which I later find out, like, doesn't make you an alcoholic, right?
Right.
Liking to be fucked up. We
Right.
cuss
Yeah,
here,
you-
right?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, if I had known that,
If I later found out that didn't make me an alcoholic. So at any rate, at some point I crossed this line, and all of a sudden, like, I didn't have any say in whether or not I was going to start. And once I started, I had no say in where we were going from there.
You had
right?
I like
That
to
was
say
it.
like the off switch had broken, or yeah
Yeah.
because it's true, because I always say you just tried to get there and then somehow you just totally missed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it went.
And to be fair, like, sometimes, like, complete annihilation was the goal.
Yeah.
But most of the time, right, when you're the kind of person who goes to treatment a bunch or, like, stops and thinks to himself every morning, like, man, I need to do something different.
Sure.
Right? Because like I said, like, I came from a really good home. Like, it was split and I was adopted, blah, blah, blah. There was stuff, but I never needed or wanted for anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So the situation I ended up
So
in.
you were a little rich kid addict.
Basically, I mean, I got sober at a place called Burning Tree, and
Okay.
it's not necessarily inexpensive. Okay,
Uh-huh.
like, I was super blessed to get to go
Sure.
there. It's a long-term program. It was the most intense thing I've ever done my whole life.
Right.
And my family had to make some adjustments in order for me to be able to do that.
Sure.
But there's not a lot of people in the world that get to go to a place like that.
Right.
It's just the truth.
Okay.
But anyways, so yeah, 2014, get sober, go to treatment, like, finally get somebody to walk me through this thing called 12-step recovery. Come to find out, it wasn't that much about, like, going to a meeting every single day. It was about, like, a transformative process that
Sure.
took 12 steps.
Right.
And was going to end up being a way of life.
Right. Well, and I always like to point out that all the recovery programs are really based, for you to deal with your trauma, because trauma is what causes addiction in a lot of people because they're running from that trauma. So, they're all designed technically for you to deal with your own shit.
Maybe.
I like to point that out. Well, at least that's my perspective.
Yeah.
Would you like to argue that?
No, because you
Seems like he
finished
wanted
up with
to.
that's my perspective.
Yeah,
And,
right.
anything I have to say is just my own personal experience.
Well, yeah,
you know
and
what I
if
mean?
you have,
So, like-
if you have your own perspective, or what do you think?
Well, so, like, we get to, especially with Cardinal House, like, we're inexpensive. Like, a lot of the calls we get are families who can't afford another place. And they're
Sure.
like, I don't know what else to do. And then, it's a lot of times, like, I'll be talking to somebody's mom or wife or whatever, and they're like, I think this is what's wrong with my husband or my son or this person that I care about that I'm trying to help. And I'll usually say, like, hey, that's all fine and good, but, like, if they have alcoholism, if they have addiction, like, that is its own illness, right? Like even clinicians will identify that.
Yeah.
And certainly, you know, like I said, like I got 12-step recovery. There's a specific book that says our description of alcoholism and the problem as we see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like there's a whole world of addiction out there, and it causes suffering, and it causes chaos and consequence and misery, and people want to get away from it. But by the time you get to the brand of recovery that I got, like they're flat out saying, hey, just for us right here, what we're talking about, we're going to tell you what we think alcoholism is based on our shared experience.
Sure.
And that's it. We don't assume to tell other people what it is for them or anything. But if you identify with what we're talking about right here, this might be what helps you.
Right.
And in that light, it was literally like its own thing, right? Like I have this allergic reaction to substances that change the way my mind works and how I feel. And whenever I get separated, because I've determined that I don't get to use them moderately, I don't get to decide how long that period of separation lasts. At some point, there is an insane thought that says, you're not allergic. You can have a beer. You can smoke one bowl. You needed to eat before you took that last shot. That's why you OD'd, you know, whatever it was. Like that thought will appear no matter what, right? Like I am doomed to use again.
Sure.
Oh yeah. No, like before. So I did have a relapse, right? Like 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, I relapsed.
And that was after like what, 9 years of sobriety?
It was almost 9 years, and I was dating a heroin addict at that point, and so it had started with like my eating disorder like a year and a half before, and then like I was eating nuts and salads, going to the gym every day, and then fast forward.
I won't say the joke about nuts, but go ahead.
No, fast
I was
forward,
waiting for
sex
something.
addiction took off, love addiction took off, and he and I were just very toxic. Anyway, after almost 9 years, I relapsed, and the night I relapsed, I smoked a little bit of like a broken meth pipe that he left in the house. And I started with a little bit of that, and I inhaled, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just smoke it. So then I smoked whatever was left. But then that night, a couple of hours later, I went to like this drug dealer's house, and I smoked 5 bowls of meth in like 10 minutes. And all those existing tweakers were looking at me like freaked out, like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, don't mind me, honey. I was like, it's been 9 years. So that,
I got catching up.
so like talking about that allergy, like I put a little bit like a couple of hours earlier, and here I was smoking like 5 bowls in 10 minutes.
Yeah, you just went right back to it with full force.
And then I went to sleep after that.
Nice. Okay, now that is maybe a different behavior, smoking 5 bowls of meth and going to sleep. All right.
Whatever. Anyway.
Well,
I interjected. It was Josh talking.
No,
it's all good. It's us talk.
It's us, yes.
The point I was trying to make is like either I am self-medicating because of something that is like internally not okay, trauma, depression, anxiety disorder, bipolar, borderline, whatever it may be. If I'm using to try and treat that, that is an assumption of power and therefore is a contradiction of the description of alcoholism I was handed.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Sure. That was deep.
But
yes, it does.
That was deep.
But
that was deep.
years into my own like walk and like even having this radical experience that changes how I want to treat other people and has removed this insane thought that I can just have a beer, stuff crops up, right? Like I kind of recently started back into therapy and have kind of been in that because that stuff exists.
Sure.
It may not have been causal to what, you know, the illness that I ended up with.
Right.
Or it may have been, I'm not worried about it, but how it shows up for me today is currently objectionable, and especially as I kind of walk into fatherhood and marriage and all this terrifying
Congratulations,
stuff.
by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. It's like I want to be like the goal is set here. I got here and it was way above where I was.
Right.
But the goal is
Are you doing that
now.
just to show your biceps? By the way, over the beach is over
What
that
biceps?
way. And, no. But, well, that's cool. So, like, what did you have any questions for him, Marlo? Or
You know, I'm interested because I've known you guys for a little while now, and I really didn't know anything about your story.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can go on and on.
So this is interesting for me to kind of, because these two were like the people that everyone was like, oh, you have to meet Ricky and Josh. Like, you know, it was like every time I would go somewhere, they're like, well, have you met Ricky? Have you met Josh? And so finally I met you at a coffee shop, but I met Josh at a Ninja Nation.
Yep.
nice.
And that they put on as a function free for Cardinal House.
Yeah. Right. So it was just, I don't know, we just kind of instantly meshed.
Right.
But again, we never really dove into
Your story.
how we got to where we are now. So it's interesting to.
Well, and I mean,
hear it
because
all.
you actually did the sobriety thing without meetings, right?
Yeah, I took a completely unorthodox approach.
No.
Yeah.
Well, so you would never really have an opportunity to hear these guys' stories.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. And I think we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit. Just kind of bringing all these different recovery communities together.
That's what it's all about,
Yeah.
baby. It's the 60s over here, you
Right.
know? I'm just like, it's
I
like,
think
hey,
you said
man,
that last week.
mi casa es su casa, and, you know.
And that's so true. That is one of my goals, and I love that Marlo's in my life because like she's been like instrumental in this. But like, so like when I came from like Austin, and truth be told, like Austin has like a vibrant, like collected, like united community, and I kind of missed that. And so when I came here, I realized everything was like a little fragmented. And so my goal, along with like, you know, Chris, my other buddy, he and I were like,
Chris
okay, well,
McGuire.
let's Chris McGuire, yes.
With Discovery Point
Discovery
Retreat.
He's
Point.
another
Arbor
one.
Park.
What do you call it?
Name
Plug
drop.
in for them. Arbor Park, yes.
We
Anyway.
love him. He helps a lot of people.
He does.
Yeah, and he helps a lot of people, and that's my go-to sometimes. Anyway, back to this. So Chris and I were like, hey, let's do something. So we always wanted to do something like with the sober living. So we always tried with Real Deal, with Arbor Park, and Lighthouse. We always tried doing something, and we never kind of did for the most part. And so Chris and I started like Sober Dallas events on Facebook, and we started inviting other people. And then Sober
Sure.
comes along, and the Phoenix comes along, and we all kind of like chime in on each other's like Facebook groups to like talk about different activities. And so Chris and I, like last year, cooked hot dogs and burgers at the volleyball deal on Saturdays because you know everyone in recovery goes to Vitruvian Park Saturdays starting at 4.
Yeah, this is this
Tomorrow-
Saturday.
tomorrow at noon.
Tomorrow.
Oh, and there's a tournament tomorrow too.
Tomorrow, yeah.
But yeah, so like that's been going on for a while, and so last year Chris and I cooked burgers and hot dogs, and this year, like having the groups more active, like I think we're all like, starting to unite and it's starting to get better. So
Sure.
I love that we have all the fellowships.
That's what I'm all about, uniting the tribes.
That'd be great.
Well,
You know
I
what I
think
mean?
I think
Yeah,
like
so.
for me, not taking any sort of, you know, didn't go to treatment, didn't do any of that. Like, there wasn't really like a group that I
Right.
had. You know,
Sure.
like I didn't have an organization that I knew people
Well,
from.
you were actually going to start your own organization, and then you go,
then I found Phoenix.
yeah, and then you're like, oh, somebody's already.
So
done
what was your organization?
I was planning when I moved to Dallas, my mission was to start a sober active community.
Cool.
And then Phoenix came into my life and was doing exactly what my purpose was. And I loved that it was inclusive to all because whatever that looked like for somebody, it didn't matter during, you know, your time
Sure.
when we're all lifting weights, right? It didn't matter if you worked the steps or went to treatment or didn't, or you were experimenting with sobriety or you were supporting a loved one. It didn't really matter during that time. So like I felt, and you know, I can kind of talk to anybody, get along with anybody, but you know, I couldn't communicate, like talk the lingo or like do any of that. And it just didn't matter at that time. So
Well, I mean, I have the same thing. Like sometimes when I get into a meeting, because I actually have not worked the steps, and I'll be honest, but I do not. I think they're a great idea, and you know, whatever works, whatever's a good fit for anybody. And I'm not saying I will never work the steps. I might ask you to be my
I
sponsor.
was just about to offer.
There you go, dude. Seriously, but it does get a little. I know what Marlo was saying because it does get a little Charlie Brown's teacher.
Yeah.
When you start getting into the steps, it's like wah 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 wah, wah and
Yeah.
then Kelly just tuned out.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, but no, it's the truth. But also something that I want to point out is that what we're all doing is staying active in our recovery. It's not like just like, okay, well, cool, I quit drinking and that's it.
No, and there's like we said earlier, there's a lot more to that. You know, it's of course.
I always like to give the people out there some sobriety 101, you know, just in case they're sober curious or whatever.
Sure.
So-
No, the book that I ascribe to talks about getting back to life. And so for me, like sobering up was about like getting back to like life and living and experiencing living rather than surviving.
Sure.
And so there's a book and a movie called On to Maim that say one of the quotes, my favorite quote is like, life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death. And it says,
Right.
live, live, live. And like, it's so true. Like many of us are walking around like asleep or like just surviving. We're like, you got to live, like wake up and live. Anyway, but going back to like, can I talk a little bit about the foundation?
You
Wait,
can
wait, wait,
talk.
wait, wait.
Wait, hold on.
Not to get off the topic yet, because I think
Go ahead.
Like what I see happening with all the communities coming together, right? Like Dusty and Stephanie and all them, like bringing. Well, sorry, I know Recovery Dharma has already been here in Louisville, but like what they're doing, and they're like these magnetizing people.
Sure.
And then like you see the other like 12-step fellowships coming in, and the Phoenix and all this. Like for me, what we all collectively went through with the COVID quarantine and like the toll I saw it take on the recovery community that I'm a part of.
Sure.
Like too many people died over the last year and a half, 2 years, for me to stop and say like, hey, if this isn't, you know, like these are my people, those are, you know.
Right.
Because the truth is the experience I had in 12-step recovery, if I'm diligent and disciplined about what that calls me to do, I'm a demonstration of the freedom that I've received.
Right.
Right?
I
So
like
it doesn't
that.
matter where I go. And if somebody's like, hey, man, like, obviously sobriety wasn't
Say
where
that
you set
again.
the bar.
I liked it.
The truth about it is like a
You're
spiritually
a
awake,
demonstration of you're a demonstration of the freedom.
the freedom that I was given.
There you go. I love that. That's deep,
That's
dude.
powerful.
Yeah.
That's a T-shirt.
And so like instead of like hiding from
t-shirts.
Write it down. Write it down.
instead of hiding from these other communities and like
Jot
being
that down, Jack
sitting
Proctor.
in judgment or whatever. Sitting in judgment and like, oh well, good luck getting high if that's all you're gonna do for your like, dude, we don't have time for that. Right? If this is life or death for all of us, it's life or death for all of us. And I'm more interested in being your friend. You know?
Sure.
And if at any point in time you care to sit down and talk about what my personal walk looks like, I have the time to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So anyways, we were talking about it the other day, is like that traumatic experience of having to isolate and watching the toll it took on people and their mental health and whatever. Community has to be the most important thing, obviously.
Right. Hey, speaking of that, wow, as Weston's falling asleep over there. Hi, buddy. Is that the part? Is that the part where you zone out? Like he gets about 30 minutes in. Hey, but real quick, can you pull up that? Because I wanted to.
Hell yeah.
I wanted
The
to
video.
talk. No, well,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
gonna do something real quick. I did a little artwork, a little art project
Okay.
last night on
Okay.
myself.
Okay.
Beautiful.
About as far as, you know, the before and after. People do the before
Yeah.
and after.
Yeah.
But this is the toll that it took on me right here. There's
Kelly, what?
Yeah.
Transformation.
Look at his
you
eyes.
You can go ahead.
Look
and-
at his eyes.
Look at zoom that in.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the eye.
And then I said vodka soda, double, and an insulin shot back because I was yeah, right. And then you know, I was totally diabetic.
Yeah.
Full on diabetic when I went into treatment, and no longer insulin. But we were talking about thumb shots,
Yeah.
and I was like, I need to make my thumb shot. So, and then I said, dude, you look like a thumb. Have another one fatty. So I can fat shame myself. It's okay.
like,
It's all
that's
right.
harsh.
But yeah, it's okay. I can. Hey, it's me, man. But I mean, that's how I felt inside, honestly.
How
I
long
mean,
ago
I
was this one?
Shoot, maybe like I would say year and a half.
I want to
something
give you a
like
high
that.
five. You're just too far away.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
you can do it where there's a will.
Right here. Wait. I'll transfer it via pen.
High five.
There we go. All right. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I busted my friend's chops. I made up a little one for him, and I was like, you know, hey man,
Are you gonna blast him on here too?
Turnabout, fair play. No,
Weston,
no,
we
no.
got the friend.
I know. It was actually Jim Bob. It was actually
Oh,
Jim Bob.
good.
Jim Bob sent me a
Good.
before and after, and then I just did my clever little sayings because I'm like that.
Man, I need
it
to
was
do
like-
that. I weighed 140 pounds
Yeah.
walking into treatment. That was 100 pounds ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. So, yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, we can talk about that because I know Ricky here was a little chunk of change as well, right?
Well, that goes with my eating disorder. But yes, I was.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not funny.
No, it is. No, it is. I can poke fun at myself. Yeah, no,
Right.
I started medicating with food like when I was like 8 years old. Like I would just like eat to like make myself feel better.
Right.
So obviously, like people have the misconception that like you only have an eating disorder when you're skinny, right? 'Cause
Sure.
you're avoiding food. But like on the flip side, an eating disorder is also when you like eat a lot because you're
Sure.
medicating. With
Of
food.
course.
And so that was my first go-to, like when I was little, because like it was like, oh my god, the way I grew up was just like just go away. So like I would medicate with food, and I blew up pretty quickly. Like in middle school, like I was told I didn't have a neck, and then they used to
Right.
call me like the jelly donut or just donut, because like they would sell like donuts at school as fundraisers for student council, and they would call me donut because I would buy donuts every day. Anyway. So then I did the whole yo-yo thing, even in high school, went back and
Yeah,
forth.
sure.
Like in recovery, I've gone back and forth, and so like yeah.
Right? Well,
So
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
And you were just doing CrossFit last weekend.
I was. It was so much fun.
No, but we were just sharing pictures, and that made me think, and I was like, oh, I got to make.
So
my
now
own.
I get the thumb thing.
Yeah, I did the no neck and the
CrossFit.
yeah. But
Excited.
hey, Weston, I know we have like, and I don't know, this is a horrible segue, but we were talking about the Cardinal house
Video.
So you have a little video, but just don't play the audio on it because I think it has a song under there.
Oh, it's copyright. It's okay to
It's
do it.
copyright
It's like clip
friendly.
art.
Yeah, no, the
Clip
guy
art, but
specifically
that's
said
Cool.
it's friendly.
I just wanted to make sure that
They've
gotta
got,
be loud.
they've got
that-
the license.
that like Zamfir didn't come after us, you know, the pan flute master Zamfir. Yeah. So anyway, but go ahead and roll that, and this is kind of what goes on at Cardinal House.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and-
Whenever we have money, yes, we try.
Yeah, and this is all HIPAA compliant, right?
It is.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh yeah, right.
See, we're much multicultural.
Oh, I made it. Yes.
Oh, you did.
Yes.
Little Ninja Nation. Paintball, volleyball.
That's it.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so that's a little bit of what goes on
Sure.
with the Cardinal House and the organization. So like when you say, like, you were saying something about, like, I know it's affordable living, but then you do events, and then are y'all also trying to help people with treatment and all that stuff? So go ahead.
That's a perfect segue. So
Yes, I know. Thank you.
So going back to like my thought process and Josh's as well, like getting back to living life and loving living life, right? So we're kind of big on like getting the guys to know themselves and who they are, and doing a lot of that. Like
Sure.
whatever feeds your spirit, I'm big on that. And like
Right.
coming to terms with who they are.
Intuition.
Yeah, follow that spirit. Whatever God made you to be that. But in with us being on the affordable end, either they've been cut off from like their parents' money or their self pay. So many of them can't necessarily. Some of them don't have insurance.
Sure.
So then Josh and I had seen that some of these guys had problems with trauma, had problems with love addiction, codependency, all that stuff, and they couldn't afford therapists. Like we're like, oh my God, how do we get these guys help?
Right.
And then. And then some things happened. There was a suicide at one of the houses, and then so it's like we definitely like need to start doing this. So he and I came up with a foundation, and we knew what we wanted to do. So we started a foundation called Cardinal House Foundation.
And that Weston, if you can throw that website up.
We don't have the website
Oh,
yet for
we
that.
do.
We're waiting on
Oh,
the
okay.
merchant account to plug in. To
Well,
the
then
website.
there we go. Okay.
But the foundation.
But there is a Facebook page, right?
Not yet. No.
Kelly,
We want to
just
make
let
sure.
it go,
We
man.
want to make sure we do it right.
I love it.
So we're gonna have a donor kickoff and
Okay.
the website and all of that and the
I
fundraising
gotcha.
at the same time.
So
when
more
we're not-
info to come.
More info to come on
Gotcha.
the merchant stuff. Yeah. So
If
then.
not, they can just stalk you in the meantime, right?
Yep.
On
Yeah,
Facebook,
exactly.
okay, or
Oh
Instagram.
yeah. No, so but we were talking about like once we do the fundraising, like
Uh-huh.
I have like 3,000 friends. If each of those donated $10, that's like $30,000. Like okay, so the money. This is what the money's for. So the money's for sober living. So like we started off with the goal of being like local, but then and then we went statewide, and then one of our board members said no, screw it, we're gonna go nationwide with this. So
Right.
it'll be sober living. Not scholarships, but a supplement. So like the guys have to come up with some money, and then Cardinal House Foundation will kind of match or pay some more of that.
Now, is this just for male or
No, male and female.
Okay.
So
Well, I was like,
everyone who
it's
needs
not,
sober living.
The foundation, like the scholarship fund for sober living, won't just be for Cardinal House.
No,
Sober
not at
Living.
all.
Right.
Like that is its own. It's a
Entity.
business. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Yeah, sure.
Right, and so it'll be everyone. We're trying to keep it affordable, so anything like under a specific dollar amount.
Right.
So whether it's here in Dallas, whether it's in Austin, wherever it is, we're going to try to help these guys and girls. That's one. The other thing is we're going to do is we're going to provide money for therapy. So
Psychiatric
care. So
I
whether
like
it's
that.
CSATs or experiential therapists, whether it's OCD therapists, any kind of therapy, and then for those who can't afford it, male and female,
Sure.
and then psych meds for those people who can't afford them, and then we're also going to do affordable treatment. So it's anything specific under a certain dollar number. We'll be able
Right.
to, we'll have a list of treatment centers that have either worked with us or are willing to take them at that dollar amount.
Yeah.
And then refer them out, men and women. And then the last thing that we are going to do is either do social events. So with other organizations.
sure.
So we'll either pay for the function Or if someone is going to an event and they cannot afford to go to that event, they can ask us for money and we'll be able to give them money for that.
Right.
So
Okay.
either we put it on or we pay for them to go with someone else.
Well, and then when do you have like a ballpark for the launch or for anything? Or I don't mean to put y'all on the spot.
No,
but,
yeah, we've got to be a month out. I mean, the
A month
website
out, yeah.
is up. We just haven't shared the link because donation link and blah 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 blah.
Oh, so this is breaking news.
Sure, and it is.
Yes.
Yes.
You heard it
Breaking
here
news
first.
in
And the logo,
community.
the logo's coming. We've got a tattoo artist in Austin designing the logo.
Cool.
Super cool.
And
Well,
I've been
awesome,
talking.
guys.
You brought up 4 Down when Stephanie was on last week,
Right, yeah.
Because she does their yoga there and blah blah. Well, I was talking to one of the guys with 4 Down.
Right, at Mike Crum?
No.
Oh, okay.
Who's the other? Eric?
Okay. Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Eric.
So we're talking about putting a
E-Dub.
concert together.
Okay.
I know some bands that are all made up of guys in recovery.
Yeah.
They met each other in treatment or whatever.
Right.
One's down in Austin, one's up here.
And you know some DJs.
Yep.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it'd be big. Oh, can we use that?
That would be fun.
It'll be
No, but
it'll
that
be
yeah,
really
that would
cool.
be cool to do an event at 4 Down. I've always wanted to do that, anyways, because I like the first time I went there, I was like, oh, dude, somebody needs to throw a rave.
Like back in the day, rave. Like,
sober rave.
yes. Like staying up all night rave with great music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After parties. That's
For sure.
anyway.
Right.
Sober.
Hey, so also, hey, Weston, can you pull up the event for the Dogs Matter? I always like to shine a little
Yes.
light on something that I think is cool, and we're actually going to have Cassie on here as a spokesperson for Dogs Matter. But
We've
this-
actually worked
We
with
used to
them.
foster.
Yeah.
and We've got a
We fostered.
story.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One of our
It's
managers.
a great program.
That's what he got his dog, Marty, right?
But you guys
Ted.
had one at the house, one of the houses?
We
Always,
did.
Yeah.
Love that.
For a long time.
But yeah, so this is going on at Truck Yard out in the Colony. That is June 12th and 13th,
Tomorrow
11 a.m.
and Sunday.
to 4 p.m. both days, and that is the Truck Yard in Colony. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I pulled off the internet.
No, that's correct.
So yeah, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what Dogs Matter does is they basically anybody going into treatment that needs assist with their animal, because that's a lot of stopping point for a lot of people. Well, I can't do it because I got my dog. So. But that's a good thing going on, and I know you guys currently work for different spots, but then y'all also so tie this in for me.
No,
Okay, so
can do
there's
this.
Chapter House, right? And then there's where there is a Cardinal House, right? Or
So what's the
So
question?
we-
explain it to me.
They are
and then-
Cardinal.
okay, you are
No
Cardinal
chapter
House.
Chapter House is awesome.
Okay, but they're a
We
sober
don't-
living
Yeah.
situation.
Well, they're way higher level of care than we are.
Uh-huh.
Like they've got clinicians and case management. and,
Right, I
like
got
very
you.
transitional.
Okay.
Very hands-on.
I'm just trying. I'm just trying.
They
to figure
honestly,
it out.
like they
Sorry.
take who no one else is willing to take. Like
Right.
they take on the hardest cases, and it's a really cool place.
Okay.
But Cardinal House, we got 3 houses,
Mm-hmm.
and we started back in 2017. And then I work for Brazos Recovery, doing like clinical outreach, business development, whatever.
Sure.
And we're a 90-day all-male facility out in Morgan, Texas.
Sure.
12-step based. Again, like we also took the guys that everybody gave up on, right? Like the guys like me getting high in treatment can probably run groups in treatment because
Right.
of how much we've been there and we're articulate and cunning and whatever. But when everybody else gives up, Brazos can help. And I mean that. And it's neat because like
I like that you kind of dropped that very Matthew McConaughey. Hey man, Brazos can help.
it's
I like
true.
it.
It's
Yeah,
funny
good.
because the list of places that I would ever call and say, "Hey, I want to work for you," was so short. It's why,
Sure.
like in my mind, I would only ever do my own thing, like Cardinal House.
Right.
And then the longer I was, in the community and whatever, like I watched these guys walk into meetings and like they're being authentic and honest and eager to help people, and they're showing up and getting home groups and all this stuff, and like they're infecting these communities, and they all have one thing: they're Brazos alumni.
Right.
I'm like, holy shit! Whatever they're doing out there is a great thing.
Sure.
So, anyways, the former CEO and I had a relationship, and I called him up. And
Speaking of, like, and Cardinal also has the same experience where, like, many of our guys go off and start the sober living. Like, we had, like, one of them started, like, a sober living. It's really affordable, and it's predominantly gay. And then most recently, one of our former managers, just 2 days ago on Wednesday, opened up his. So, yeah, that's what
That's
Josh
cool
and
to
I
see.
pride ourselves in seeing these guys. And the other manager who was with us for a long time, he works for Chapter House. So, like, I love seeing what happens with Cardinal House, like that they go off and help other people. Anyway, so like he works for Brazos, I work for Valley Hope.
Okay.
So Valley Hope is a nonprofit. We're based out of Grapevine.
Okay.
The main one is the corporate is in Kansas. So we have them in 8 states. But here locally, it's a nonprofit, and Valley Hope was founded on the principle of love and compassion. So back in the day when we didn't love the drug addict or the alcoholic, where everyone dismissed him, was like, oh, screw them, or whatever.
Yeah.
No, Valley Hope was like, from the very beginning, you got to love these people. And so that's been the ethos of Valley Hope is, we're going to love you and care for you when you're with us right now.
Right.
And we have a strong alumni.
I like that word, ethos.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
okay.
I take like
I always like to point out.
I wouldn't say A&M, so like,
Yeah.
no, I'm just, anyway. So
I'm educated.
a little
man.
bit, somewhat. No, so that's been the philosophy of Valley Hope. And so like now, like, within recovery, like within the treatment field, like, now you love them, right? Or even society. But yeah, Valley Hope was founded on those principles. But also by, a clergyman and a therapist, doctor. So it's kind of similar to another 12-step movement. Anyway, back to focus, Valley Hope. Anyway, so we do, and I've talked to a few alumni recently, and they're like, "Oh, I love Valley Hope. I love what happened there." And so Valley Hope has done a lot of great things. We are also a closed campus. So at some point it was open. It is closed now. So no cell phone. They don't leave campus anymore. They stay there. Their day is pretty regimented. So like we're packed with like their classes, so to speak, 12-step stuff.
Sure.
We're also 12-step. We also have a chaplain. So the chaplains are obviously educated in religion. What's the word for them? Anyway, but we do have a chaplain, and so they work the first 3 steps with them. So they come to terms with their higher power. So they know a lot about Islam, about Judaism, about Christianity. It's not just Christianity.
Right.
They know about atheism. So
Buddhism.
the chaplains are there to kind of guide the guys and girls.
Gotcha.
And it's male and female.
Gotcha. Well, hey, while we're shouting out, Marlo, does the Phoenix have any events coming up?
Come on.
At all?
Yes.
Bring it, girl.
You already know. We got something going on every day.
All right. So if somebody out there wants to look this up, where can they find that information?
Well, you can find us, thephoenix.org is our main website. So you'll
Okay.
find all of our events posted there, as well as on Facebook. We have the Phoenix DFW and then the Phoenix DFW group. So you got a public page and then a private group page, which has a little bit more of like the communication going on.
I gotcha.
We do have our big day at the lake with Sobar, the last Sunday of the month. Don't quote me on the date because I'm probably not going to get it correct. But,
Sure. But if
last
they go to
Sunday-
the website, it'll
all
be
of that's there.
Yeah.
All of the addresses are now included on the website, which was
What's your favorite thing to do? What's your favorite event of the events you do?
no, because I
She
don't
was
know.
gonna go sleeping.
No, it's probably CrossFit.
CrossFit.
We just brought on a cool new partnership at F45 in Carrollton.
Okay.
That was a good workout. So
Nice.
I like the workout stuff, and then my coworker Erin, she's
the
the outdoor
rock climber.
She's the outdoorsy one, so
Ewak.
Yeah, I'm the one that doesn't know how to swim, so I stay out of the water.
You don't know how to swim?
No.
Oh, what?
No.
Hold on. Now
know.
that has
being
got to
serious?
be
Why would I lie?
that
No,
that
I'm
has
being
got to be
serious.
remedied.
I'm not trying to shame
That
you.
has to be
I grew up
remedied.
on the ocean. I still don't know how to swim. It's fine.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well.
I'll go out on the paddleboard.
I learned to swim at A&M. I took beginner swimming.
Yeah, I
my
need that.
It's never too
sophomore
late.
year.
There you go.
It's never too
I just
late.
feel like I've gone this long.
Yeah, we're all like ganging up on Marlo now.
No, this
you
isn't
don't
about
swim.
shame. This is about
So I'm gonna
encouragement.
stick with the
Okay.
weightlifting and the
You-
volleyball and the team
You don't
sports.
swim and you haven't worked the steps. Oh my God.
It's a shame.
Live.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come out,
right.
check some Phoenix events out.
Cool.
Always doing something fun. So.
All right, and then also, real quick, I need to plug our lovely sponsor of the show, Summer Sky, which is summersky.us, and that's 888-857-8857, 888-857-8857. Yeah, that's where I got sober, and it can work for you. It does happen. Don't forget to get the groovy shirts at djkellyreverb.com, and that'll show you all the shirts. And there's actually a donate button on there if you want to donate some gas money. I would appreciate that. And then let's see what else. Next week we have the professor update. And then let's see. Did anybody have any shout outs before we wrap up the meeting and pass the hat? No, I'm just kidding. the seventh tradition.
Y'all join me with the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah, right.
No, there's a volleyball tournament tomorrow.
Yeah, a volleyball tournament, which is at Vitruvian Park, out by the Galleria. I won't say what I said. I always call it the gonorrhea.
Yeah. So you said it anyway.
Yeah, right. So
I won't say it right now. I'll say it in a couple seconds.
I'll say it anyway.
Hey, I thought it, so it had to come out.
It had to come out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Man, if I live my life like that.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, no. But any shout outs, moms, dads, significant others y'all want to stay out there? I know you have.
Well, daddy, or Josh to be a daddy.
Daddy.
Hold on.
So Chelsea,
Hold
hi.
on now. That
He
was
said daddy.
that
on,
was
Daddy.
just a Freudian slip right there.
Oh, he is a daddy already.
Yeah, right. I gotcha.
Yeah, Chelsea Rogers. We're having a baby. We're having a baby boy.
Cool.
We're currently taking suggestions on
names?
names.
Egipto.
Okay, here it is. No,
Come on.
Kelly.
Oh.
It's a good
Marlo.
It's a good. No, Kelly. You can go either way with it.
Can.
It's
Hey,
good.
one of my best friends is named Kylie. And he got
Kylie.
teased all
He's a
growing up. But,
sweetheart.
dude, I mean, if he's not an example of a man, I don't know who
He's a
is.
man.
Right.
They can leave some
Ricky's
name
a big fan
suggestions.
of
I am a
Kylie
big fan of
Ward.
Kylie. He grew on me. Yes, I love Kylie.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, yeah, name suggestions are welcome.
Put them in the
All right.
comments.
And how many months, sir?
Due date is October 21st.
Don't make me do the math.
I'll remember. It's, I don't know, 4 months or something.
I gotcha.
One day at a time, you know what I'm saying?
I gotcha. my
Code for
brother.
I don't know what's going on.
I gotcha.
Well, I remember
She's-
the due date because there's a
she's-
concert I want to
She's
go
in
to.
so.
so-
She's in one of the trimesters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, that works. And you, bud, you got
Oh.
anybody?
No, I don't have anyone at this point.
Okay. Well, all right.
I just got out of
He's
a
got a
toxic
roster.
relationship, so I am like working on self-care.
Well,
and all that
okay.
stuff.
Okay. So that I think that's an open invitation right there.
Yeah. Hey,
Honestly.
Hey, so yeah, I'm available. If,
gentlemen.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, I actually had a guy tell me, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to be celibate and alone and work on myself and blah, blah, blah. And he stopped me and he said, do you think God wants you to be in love? And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, obviously. He's like, how in the world is God going to teach you how to be in love if you're not willing to try?
yes.
And I realized, like, I wanted to be celibate and alone because of, like, the humiliation of making mistakes in that area of my life. And so here's this decision that I think is all spiritual and righteous, and it's really just fear.
Right.
I'm afraid of embarrassment. I'm afraid of heartbreak, and I
Right.
wasn't willing to try. Anyways, here we are today.
Josh with the deep
I know,
quotes,
dude.
man. We should've-
Deep.
Jack, did you get that?
Jack's gotten that.
Deep thoughts. I like it, dude. We'll have to start doing a segment with you on there. Deep thoughts
My ego really needs that.
with Josh.
He inflated his head.
Stop.
Right. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys
No,
coming
Kelly,
on.
thanks for having
And
us on.
Yeah,
This
man.
is
And
fun.
I mean, I would love to have you guys back on.
that'd be great.
Talk,
Once we launch the foundation.
Yeah. Once y'all launch the foundation, we'll have you guys back on and hype it up and put some sunshine on it.
Maybe we'll bring our first recipient or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see,
Okay.
we'll see what God does.
All right. I like that.
Thanks
I like
a lot,
that.
Kelly. This is
Yeah,
a
thank
lot
you
of
for having
fun.
us.
Yeah, and by the way, and please help me spread the word.
I will.
Because it's all, the show is for everybody, and it's not an exclusive club. It's just people that are wanting to get recovery
Yeah.
and don't know how,
Yeah.
or as far as knowing how to obtain sobriety. I try to, give them resources.
Yeah.
Be a little bit of a resource broker. So, be sure and subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is thispinkcloud.com.
Yeah.
Go there, subscribe, and that will be your good deed for the day, and you will feel so much better inside.
And so Kelly.
Well, thanks a lot for coming out. I know you guys are all busy, so you're like, but I really do appreciate you making time last minute for me here, and would love to have you guys back on. Looking forward to the the Roving Ricky report.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm excited
We'll
about
see.
that. Other than that, guys, here it is, dude. There is no magic pill for sobriety, because if there was, we would all take too many.
Is it water soluble?
Yeah, right.
Fat soluble.
Did you get the play out there, bud? I don't hear the music there. Weston, you were sleeping.
Don't